Welcome to the Swingset. Climb on up. There is always a swing available. On Life on the Swingset, the podcast, we explore ethically non-monogamous relationships, the pleasures and passions, the promise and pitfalls. We discuss all aspects of ethical non-monogamy in a fun, open, and welcoming fashion, with a gleam in our eye, a bounce in our step, our hands down your pants. Ooh, sorry, got ahead of myself. We may be biased. In fact, we most certainly are. But we don't sugarcoat, and each of us speaks honestly and earnestly about our thoughts, ideas, and experiences throughout our very own lives on the swing set. Thanks for swinging by.
Welcome back to a three-peat dip into the Life on the Swingset mailbag, because most of us are from Chicago and that's how we roll.
Yeah.
Where we're reading listener question after listener question. As always, questions are edited for time and cohesion. If you have a question for an upcoming mailbag show, please leave us a voicemail at 573-557-9464. I'm Cooper, and tonight I have with me...
Hey everybody, it's Ginger.
Hey, it's Dylan.
Hey, it's Miko.
And because I always forget, you should tweet along with us using hashtag SSPodcast. I don't think I've said that in like 15 episodes.
That's why nobody's tweeting.
That's
there.
why.
Okay.
I am. I'm having a good time.
Except for Ginger.
You know.
She's like tweeting into the empty, into the black.
Into the black.
So, more listener questions. I've got our first one right here. I'm hoping for some words of wisdom for a guy in the lifestyle who struggles to be appropriately assertive. While single, I was one of those guys who needed flares, sirens, and flashing lights to know a woman was interested in me, and even then I was often hesitant. I'm now happily coupled and in the lifestyle, but no better at hitting on women or initiating any touching. Part of my hang-up is the nausea induced by certain sleazy guys who accidentally rub against people in crowds or greet everyone with a grope. But a balance between assault and friendly passivity can't be that hard to find, right? This has created some tension with my better half because she feels as if she has to do more of the work when we're in sexy circumstances, and it makes it harder for me to enjoy lifestyle events. I'm going to say that the balance between assault and friendly passivity is saying, hello, you're sexy.
Just that's it? Nothing else?
That's it. That's the balance. That's it.
There's a false dichotomy there.
I think so too, Dylan.
As Cooper very, very brilliantly illustrated by his comment. There is a very wide chasm between assault and friendly passivity, and I think that using your words is a perfectly good way to do it. And I think Cooper said this best when he was talking about...
Wow, Dylan, you're blowing the cover. You know, really, they're going to stop listening if we don't hate each other.
Aww.
I know. Wow. Gonna throw off the universe. With
I'll hate on you later, lover. It's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll give you what you need. So... Cooper has said it the best when he's been talking about how he likes to awkwardly flirt.
I do.
Because expressing your interest in somebody is really a good opening number. And if you happen to be a little awkward about it, mentioning you're kind of awkwardly expressing your interest in somebody, it's also not a terribly bad way to do it, because even just saying, so, you're really pretty and I wanted to come over here and talk to you and I couldn't find a way to do it, so I just decided to say, fuck it, and come over to talk to you. That's also implying that you find her so attractive that she puts you off your normal beat, whatever that might be. So you're really complimenting somebody without complimenting them, which is in itself smooth. So that's one strategy to doing this.
I also love one of my favorite awkward strategies is asking if it would be okay to ask them to play with them. Because you've asked a question without actually asking the question. It's brilliant.
He's calling the question.
I am.
They say
You're calling it to the floor for a vote.
So the second part of your question addresses your wife's tension with you not being so assertive. And I just want to say to your wife, I feel you, man. Tonya isn't totally assertive all the time, and while it's no longer a sore spot between us, at one point it was, because I'm usually pretty outgoing and usually able to just put myself out there or put us out there. But yeah, if I know that she's attracted to someone and she just isn't doing about it and she's leaving me to do all the work, yeah, it kind of sucks. So I get why it's a source of tension with you guys. But you making that small change and being able to reach out, even awkwardly just a little bit, and her seeing that you're trying, I think will go a really long way to solving that part of the problem. Because you're trying. You may fuck up, but you know what? You're already kind of married to her. You already like to bump uglies and shit. So you got that going for you. And you already like to see her with other cocks inside of her. So I'd say you making that effort is probably going to solve that tension problem. And it'll mean that you get to have a better time.
I think part of his issue here, or his question, I should say, is kind of answered in the first part of the difference between assault and friendly passivity. You know, he says it right here. It's like certain sleazy guys who accidentally rub against people in crowds, who greet everyone with a grope. That sounds like he doesn't want to be the guy who doesn't know boundaries and consent. And if you are practicing that when you're approaching, kind of in that, this is my awkward flirt, you're asking for permission, you're not touching, but finding sort of, a nice flirty way to ask to touch or do anything that kind of, it starts a conversation and it, sort of disarms things a little bit, but you're already asking and talking and being polite right off the bat. So you really shouldn't come off as the guy who is touching without asking, or being too gropey or handsy, or touching people by quote, air quote, by accident. You're already practicing that by respecting somebody's boundaries and taking a no. All those little things that we've kind of touched on here and there on different episodes might help you to get past the fear of being thought of that way.
I feel like one of the pieces about shyness, although I appreciate it being a real phenomenon, it can be a self-perpetuating narrative in the sense of, oh, I'm a shy guy. I'm a shy guy. I'm a shy guy. It's like, well, you might be a shy guy, but how about you're a shy guy who's really awesome at talking to women? Like, really switch it, flip it, get yourself out of the mental rut of shyness being a liability and shape it to work for you. And simply because a person is shy doesn't mean they're not good at making conversation. Just because someone is shy doesn't mean they're not a great flirt. They can go hand in hand. You can be a shy guy who's a great flirt. And what it takes is recognizing that you do have power in that moment, that you can step up into it. And also being really real about being okay with rejection. We've talked about this, or I've talked about this a great deal on the podcast, that, sometimes it comes down to you're going to be rejected. You're going to be rejected. Someone's going to say, oh, thanks anyway. No, that's all right. Or they're going to excuse themselves to go get a drink and they're not going to come back, or, you know what? That frees you up to spend a great time with someone else who's a better match. And so a big part of that as well is getting okay with rejection, in the sense that knowing that you then have the opportunity to use your strategy again somewhere else. And so I just, that twofold flipping of the narrative of being a shy guy, but also being okay with not every single person in the room is going to want to make conversation or is going to take to your advances. That's okay. Both of those things are perfectly okay and still allow you to have a great time. So I would just encourage you to get outside of your comfort zone a little bit and, just make conversation. Consent is always, as Miko shared, consent is always an important piece of the puzzle. You're not going to be quote unquote that guy. So just know that that's not part of you, that you can ask for consent. You can approach women. You can do those things that maybe previously you thought that you didn't have it in you to do. Just go for it and see what happens.
Hey, Miko.
Yeah.
Would you like to read our next question?
Certainly. My wife and I have a wonderful marriage, awesome communication, and even better sex life. We're entertaining a soft swap, FMF interaction. We want to make an informed decision together before fully trying swinging. What can you suggest? Tips, advice, information-wise? What's the next step if we wanted to go through with it?
One of the things that I know I say immediately when I get these questions at parties or when we're at Desire
When
is...
you're just out on the street, maybe in the produce section at the grocery store.
Produce,
and someone
exactly.
comes up to you and asks you about it.
Because you're trying to win over
Right.
customers one produce at a time.
Yes, the
Right,
glamorous
exactly.
life of Ginger Bentham right
with
there.
my upside down pineapple in my shopping cart, which
well,
apparently is...
That's how you roll.
Yes, exactly. Roll, shopping cart.
I'm with you.
Produce,
Yeah. See,
pineapple.
Puns everywhere.
So much goodness there. But we always go to what I term, or we've all termed, the get out of jail free card, in the sense of granting each other permission to have an experience and to know that whatever that experience was, if it didn't go well, it exists in the past, it's done, you process it and you move forward. And that, I think, is a fundamental foundation to the next step of actually engaging. Remembering, though, you can always just go to a party and not do one single thing with any other person as many times as you want. And so getting yourself steeped in the culture, watching, taking those scenarios home and processing them, having your own fantasies, which I know Prof is a huge fan of, fantasy being a tool for self-exploration. Those two things can go hand in hand and really can take you a long way in your initial explorations into swinging.
Now, just to enhance the bullet points, swing set number 59 is the first in our Swinging for Beginners series that is now up to 9 episodes. So you can check those out. And if you have an Android device and you download our Swingset FM app, there's a whole section that is just those episodes, just for beginners. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, just lots of communication. Definitely, what Jen said is one of my favorite things. Of you go to a party or have any kind of interaction and don't feel like you have to do something. Take that pressure off yourself. Because even just meeting another couple and hanging out, or meeting that other person for your threesome and going, I'm not quite sure if this is the right thing, or let's just talk and get to know it. Because you might find that your way of doing things is slower paced. You like to get to know people better before you dive right in. You're really going to need to learn how this works for you, because it works differently. You can't just sort of jump in and do it the way someone else does it. Someone might feel comfortable just getting right into group action in a club. May not be your thing. Or you may find, I don't want to talk to these people that long. I want to get to it. Take your time, have good conversations before and after, and really just never feel obligated to complete anything. Even in the middle, 3/4 of the way through, 1/10 into it, 95% loaded, you can always say no.
Just remember that being newbies does not put you at a disadvantage. and that there are plenty of people out there that enjoy showing newbies the ropes.
And there are plenty of people who will go at your pace.
Exactly. So don't be intimidated just because a couple you meet happens to have 15 years of experience on you, because you're probably going to get the benefits of that experience if you know what I mean. Ha.
His meaning was subtle. Let's see if you can pick it up. Dylan, while they're thinking about your possible meaning, why don't you read the next question?
Sure. So, we were doing a lot of lifestyle events and really never met anyone that tripped both of our triggers until we met this one couple. We became very close, sharing each other and attending sexy events, but staying faithful to each other as couples until recently. They attended an event and hooked up with a group of people, didn't invite us, and now we're struggling with the relationship. We sort of had our hearts broken. We never had any kind of agreement to stay with each other, so we can't fault them. Wondering if you have any advice? Yes.
Oh, boy.
So,
communication is the first word.
Yes.
Now you go, Dylan.
People can make you feel pretty wonderful and make you feel like you're the center of their universe, and that's obviously what happened here. And sometimes it can be shocking to find out, hey, you might have been the center of their universe for those times, but it doesn't mean you're the center of their universe. You know, that you guys didn't make an arrangement like that. I get that your hearts are broken, but you just got to remember that when you two decided to step out and explore other people, you didn't feel like you broke each other's hearts. And the same thing applies to this really meaningful thing that you found. It might have been a little bit of surprise and shocking, but I think that you just got to remember that all the great times that you had together were still fucking great, and all the times you're going to have together in the future are going to be fucking great. And that if you really do want it to be a going steady kind of thing, maybe you can express that and see what happens. But it's never going to get to that point if you don't decide to do something about it. And if the thing that you decide to do about it is be cool with it, even if you have to work through a few things, that's okay too. You obviously know that it's a little bit, that it's not their fault. But there's plenty of fun times to be had with them and with each other. And that you weren't invited doesn't necessarily mean that you were excluded. That's not how this works. I wouldn't even ask the question, why didn't you invite us? I would put forward that if they happen to find interesting swing experiences elsewhere, you'd be game for that. Yeah. Yes, exactly. Putting your interest out there.
Let us know next time. Just, we're up for this.
Yeah.
You're putting it out there that you are open to the idea, rather than making it seem like, because it's very easy to accidentally sound like, man, you should have fucking invited us. So try to phrase it in a way that doesn't even imply that.
I think it's certainly a great strategy to communicate. One of the things that I think it's important to not do is fall into the trap of what Prof and I call monogamy squared. That, it feels good and awesome and safe and easy to create a rapport with one other couple and forget that we're in this awesome experience to enjoy novelty, to meet other like-minded, awesome people, and not allow yourself to get into a scarcity mindset. Like, oh, they're partying with them now. Now they're never going to want to party with us again. But to be able to put it out there, like absolutely saying to them, oh, we'd totally be up for joining you for a party, or we'd love to host you and all those people that you met at that other event. Like super awesome. We'd love to meet them. And really open your mind to an abundance attitude that no one's trying to exclude anyone, but sometimes practicalities get in the way. And, one of the things that Prof and I love to do is introduce our sexy friends to our other sexy friends. It's essentially, our number one hobby, that if we can put together a party that brings together all the disparate worlds of our sexy life, then we couldn't be happier. And so it's important to not read into your sexy friends having another experience as a rejection of you. It's just an embracing of the abundance. And I encourage you to do the same, to continue to go out and party, to continue to invite those friends over, to try to bring all of the groups together, whatever you can do. Anytime you get sucked into that scarcity mindset that you're not getting yours, or, there's not enough for everyone to go around, you're falling into that, I think of it as kind of a monogamous thinking sort of trap.
You're reverting to default monogamy.
Yeah.
And it's real easy to do. I've been in that situation multiple times where it feels like we're hanging out all the time. And you know what? It feels an awful lot like regular dating. So it kind of feels like, I don't know, maybe a little something more, and then it's not. And that doesn't mean it wasn't awesome. That's the thing. And it doesn't mean it can't continue to be awesome. But remember, you're in swinging. You're not dating as polyamorous couple. So therefore, it's possible these other people would have similar feelings or similar desires, but not necessarily. And it's no one's fault. Just be aware. Hey, Jen.
Yeah.
Would you like to read the last question before our commercial break?
I would. And I'm going to right now. We're busy and don't play with us. So enthusiastic.
The sass you brought to that,
busy.
Jen,
Thank you.
was excellent.
I try to bring the sass. We're busy and don't play with other couples. We prefer threesomes and orgies. Oh, I see what they're getting at now. I was like, wait, what? You don't play with other couples, but you do threesomes and orgies.
They
okay.
skip the foursome. It's like 3.
That's fair.
Don't mention it.
3, 5. Yeah, it's cool. All right. We're busy and don't play with other couples. We prefer threesomes and orgies. That doesn't mean we don't want to meet sexy new friends, just that we'd rather do it in larger settings. But we also get a fair amount of attention on the swinger dating sites, almost always from couples who want to meet up. Our profile is clear that we don't play with couples, but it's obvious that some people only look at pictures. Responding with something like, we're not available to meet, but we'll be at the meet and greet, so please come and say hello, has always been met with silence. Are we doing something wrong? Is there a better way to say what we're looking for?
I've got some thoughts.
Ooh.
First of all, the reason you're being met with silence is because these people are not getting what they're looking for from you, and they're not spending any more time on it. Mm-hmm. What they're looking for is probably not to meet a couple at a meet and greet. I've been in the situation where I have someone who I'm interested in say, hey, we're going to this club tonight. You should come by and say hi. Or we only meet people at clubs. And that's awesome. And that works for them. I don't do that. That's not my thing. So I probably would say, I'm sorry, I'm not interested, but I completely get the silence. So I wouldn't take that personally. It's not your fault. It's specifically that they are not interested in coming out to a club or a meet and greet to meet you.
Yeah, for some people, a non-response is a
response. Yeah,
yeah. I've gotten that from other people before, and even like for things like an RSVP to a party. I'll be like, why I didn't get a response, and their response is always, well, I didn't tell you I was going, so that meant no. And it's hard when you're thinking, well, saying no might mean you didn't get my message, or you did, and that's probably what's making you feel uncomfortable. These people feel uncomfortable is, well, I gave you this option and you didn't say yes and you didn't say no, and this makes me feel uncomfortable. And once I made peace with the idea that some people's way of responding is no response is no, it becomes a little easier to get rid of that uneasy feeling that you're missing something from them, or you're not getting, the response, or that they're sitting there glowering and, unhappy with you.
And the other half of your question is there a better way to say what you're looking for? Yeah, probably right up front. Just first sentence of your profile. We only play in odd numbers, in threesomes and groups. Not interested in couple on couple.
I was going to say the same thing. Like, you could actually title your profile threesomes and orgies.
I mean,
threesomes and orgies only, or something like that.
You're right. It's really easy to get into the habit of just looking at pictures on the swinger dating websites. And it's really easy to skim the profile looking for buzzwords and things that are connections, because it's hard to make that connection. So you often throw out an awful lot of feelers at once.
I think there's a simple functional reason why nobody has actually met up with you at
because
one of
they're
the
couples?
Oh, no.
Because that's my theory, is that couples are interacting with them and you say you don't want couples. So a couple's not going to come to you and say, hey, you want to find another one for our fivesome?
Right.
You got to build your own.
Yes. I was just going to mention that, when you schedule something with somebody, you've got to compare calendars and do all this stuff to make sure things happen. By you saying you're going to be at a meet and greet, you're not making any agreement with this other couple, so don't worry about that. I just mean you're saying, hey, I'm here on this date. The chances that couple is going to be available on that date are probably pretty low, because we're all kind of busy. So I know that they aren't responding to you, but nobody's probably jumped up because the chances that somebody's going to be available for something that you've already scheduled for yourselves is probably pretty low. So yeah, it'd be nice for people to respond. I do try to respond whenever I'm messaged.
It also feels like an audition. It's like, hey, we're not gonna interact with you now, but if you come out along with all the other people we've probably have interacted with on here and told to come out because we'll be here at this day.
Yeah,
I'm not going to walk up and look for a couple and see, oh, hey, they told 6 couples to come out and meet them, and now we're going to play the dating game to see who gets.
But it doesn't even sound like it's the dating game, because they don't want to they don't want to do anything with any other couple.
That's true.
If that's how they play.
No. I have no problem with that, how they play. I'm saying I'm not going to go to a party to maybe talk to somebody who I talk to online, because what if I get there and they're having an intimate conversation with someone else, and I came because they said, hey, we're going to be here, you should come out. That's a waste of my time.
Well, I feel like there's a piece of this that is important to recognize, that it's not, I hear what you're saying about the audition piece, but if their way of playing includes lots of people because that's their vibe and that's what they enjoy, it's not like they're not into you. It's just they are in the space of lining up the possibilities of playing with lots of sexy people. And so if it's not your speed to show up at a meet and greet, then that's fine. But I feel like it's important to honor, like, if they're fun and does include those 6 other couples, and they have a room and they're going to say, hey, you 6 other couples and this guy and these 2 ladies and this other guy, we'd love to go play. Then, it does take a lot of logistics to gather together a group of people to go play. So, I feel like, I have to go to the space of they are erring on the side of efficiency here. And I don't think it's worthy of taking it personally if they invite you to a meet and greet.
I'm not taking it personally. I'm saying I'm not doing it.
Sure.
And
which is perfectly fine.
Like I'm the only one who would say that, which is probably one of the reasons why they're getting a lack of response. Uh-huh. So my thought is if they want group sex, we've talked about how threesomes are really difficult to put together in swinging because you usually want the unicorn, and unicorns are hard to find unless you're magic like Dylan.
Wait, Wait, what?
You
He's
found
the
a number of
unicorn whisperer.
unicorns.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Because
okay.
you're magic.
Yeah.
Friendship is magic, Dylan.
I've learned from I've learned from some pretty good friends over the years.
And so you already have to work really hard to do that. If you're not willing to go out and get to know couples, you're not able to put together a party on your own either, because the key to putting together parties on your own is knowing couples. You could theoretically invite a whole bunch of couples that you don't really know over. I don't feel that's a good idea, but I'm not going to say don't do that. But honestly, if this is your play style, you are setting yourself up to much more difficult building of situations.
You know, I keep reading this over and over and over again, and it doesn't sound like inviting them to go to the meet and greet is to do anything other than say hi. Because it says here, it's like, they get a fair attention almost always from couples who want to meet up. Responding with something like, we're not available to meet, but we'll be at a meet and greet, so please come and say hello. So unless there's something edited out in here, it sounds like they don't play with couples. Couples always message them. Instead of just saying, sorry, no couples, and that being the end of the discussion, they're trying to be very nice and say, well, we're not available to meet, but we'll be at a meet and greet, so come say hi. Almost like, I want to turn you down, but I don't want to come off in coming over in poor light, or like, I don't want to feel like I'm answering you too curtly or too shortly. I want to be nice about it. So I think it's kind of, it must be sending a mixed message, because we're all getting something sort of different from it. And all I can get from it is not that they're bringing couples to, well, if I keep telling these couples to come meet me at this meet and greet, I will magically get the magic number I want of couples and thus have my orgy. That seems almost too nefarious for someone to come up with as an idea. Like, I can't imagine anybody sitting down and actually like having a light bulb go up over their head and go, oh, I know how I'm going to make this couple thing work for me. I think it's just, they get so many responses from couples, and they're trying to find a nice way to let people know that this isn't their thing, but they don't want to alienate people as either possible friends in the lifestyle, or they might be able to do other things with them, like group situations where it's like, let's meet, and who knows, maybe the possibility of getting to know each other, they find out they want to go to the same club at another time. But it sounds like it's just meet and greet, hanging out. This is not in any way an audition or a setup. And perhaps by being overly nice, maybe
they're hurting themselves.
Yeah, they may not be sending the right message. It's almost like if somebody were to ask you out, but you weren't interested, but you said, well, no, I can't go out with you on a date, but we can go get coffee on Saturday afternoon. Somebody that's really into you is not thinking, oh, they're turning me down because they don't want to date me. They're thinking, well, they can't go out with me Friday night, but wow, we're going to have that date at that coffee on Saturday afternoon. It doesn't necessarily give the strong signal that you want to give, but it's because you don't want to hurt the other person's feelings, or you feel like you don't come across as a nice person by saying that, especially when it's coming at you repeatedly. They may want to be a little bit more upfront about what they want to do. Yeah, and also the people reading that might go, well, why do I want to meet you with you if you don't want to do anything with me?
Right.
And may get a little irritated by that and be like, well, no, I'm not going to even respond.
I think this couple is best suited for on-premises play clubs. Because you can walk in, find a group of people, go fuck in the orgy room.
Yeah.
And then, once you've done that, you can get everybody's email addresses and invite them over to do it on a regular basis.
There you go. And you're never going to be guaranteed that people are ever going to read all of your profile. It's like, I still get, messages from single men, even though it's like all over that we're just looking for other couples. So, there's only so much you can do.
And that's a good place to go to a break. There's only so much you can do. We'll be back with more questions from the mailbag on Life on the Swingset, the podcast. Hey all, Cooper here to tell you the exciting news that my best-selling book, My Life on the Swingset, Adventures in Swinging and Polyamory, is now available on Audible. As you may know, if you sign up for Audible now, you can get your first month and first audiobook free. So why not make it mine? Go to audible.mylotss.com and get 8 hours of newly produced audio content now. If you crave other methods of book consumption, you can purchase the DRM-free ebook or paperback, as well as the audiobook direct from me at mylifeontheswingset.com. You know you'd rather hear than read about my epic prostate orgasm. Why not do it now? When it comes to online dating, we here at the Swingset believe that Cassidy is the best one out there. It looks great, it's intuitive and easy to use, and it's simply full of potential sexy friends. Still the fastest growing online swinger dating site in the world, Cassidy has been our go-to site for the last 3 years. If you sign up using our link at lifeontheswingset.com/KASIDIE, you'll get some free time to explore the site. And you can decide for yourself if Cassidy is the site for you. Hope to see you there at Cassidy.com.
We at the Swingset believe that being risk-aware and practicing safer sex makes our lifestyle exponentially better. With that in mind, we're partnering with Lucky Bloke, global condom experts and the best online source for condoms and lube, to say no to mediocre condoms and bring the most pleasurable, safer sex directly to our listeners. Go to swingsetcondoms.com to see a specially curated selection of condoms, lubes, and assortments to reintroduce variety and excitement into the protection portion of your playtime. You should especially take note of the deluxe sampler put together by us at the Swingset for your party and date night kit. Making your condom purchase here supports both us at the Swingset and the wonderful purveyors of safer sex, the Lucky Bloke. swingsetcondoms.com.
It's Prof. I'm here with Ginger, and we have some big news to share, Ginger.
We do. We're going to Desire again.
Yes, we are. April 2016, from the 16th through the 21st, we are going to do a 5-day bit of awesomeness.
Absolutely. It's a hold me over. If you can't make it in November, we'd love to host you in April with JV and Shara from Ending the Sexual Dark Age.
And we're going to have a chill time. Not quite as many activities as our normal November trip, but still lots of awesome Desire fun for sure. So, Ginger, how do people get on this awesome trip with us?
They should definitely email me at ginger@lifeontheswingset.com and we'll get you in touch with Jim from Shar Travel. We'd love to see you there. Join us.
Yay! Do it.
Welcome back to Life on the Swingset, the podcast. We are doing another Gangbang the Mailbag, and I have our next question, and it like hits right at one of my frequent topics, I think we'd say. We are Christians and go to church on Sunday. Are there a lot of Christian swingers? I'm afraid it would feel a little weird going to a club and having some fun and then going to church a few days later. I'll admit this was a question that was pulled out of a 2-question email, which is why it's so brief. The other question is unrelated to this question, so I split them up. I'm just filling us all in on that. I'm going to completely divorce myself from the general topic here and just say, in general, I have found that swinging is a pretty decent cross-section of the general population. There are pockets of it that have a little bit more filling than other pockets. I don't know why I said it that way.
A bit more
Like
filling.
it is weighted a little bit more to the older, to the more affluent, to the, let's say, whiter crowd. One thing you'll notice about older, more affluent, whiter crowds is they're often Christians. And one thing you might notice about swinging being a general cross-section of the population is there are a lot of Christian swingers who have no problem fucking everyone and everything on Saturday night and going to church on Sunday morning.
Isn't there still a website that's Christian Swingers?
There is. I forgot what that address was. It was just in the news earlier this year.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. I haven't gone to.
So
it
you don't have an account, is what you're saying? You
I was curious back when,
just like the Ashley Manta, not Ashley Manta.
Wow!
I apologize, Ashley Manta. I was talking about Ashley Madison.
Because someone hacked ashleymanta.com.
Ashley Manta, and it's all over the place.
It's all over.
But just like with that, it's like, no, I signed up for research.
Oh, is that the excuse everyone's getting?
I'm a blogger, and I wanted to write about the people who would use ashleymadison.com.
Yes, so that is Ashley Madison.
Also go to ashleymanta.com and support our friend and host of the Carnalcopia podcast at ashleymanta.com. Because just because I fuck up doesn't mean she doesn't get free publicity.
Right, exactly. We want her to get more publicity because you fucked up. Because
of it.
Yeah. And I love autofill on my browser because I just wrote Christian and it filled in swingers.com.
Wow.
Well, there you go.
That browser has your number, Miko.
Totally. When I die, someone needs to come and totally wipe this browser.
Oh yeah, you have
to
have that person in your life who's going to come and secure your sex toys, your porn cache, and all of your devices.
I don't know. I sort of look at it like those deals in movies with hostages where they say, if I die and I don't check in, this information's going to be released.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that.
Yeah.
So when I die, like a week later, I want it all public.
Yeah.
Because I don't fucking care.
That's true. You're dead.
Yeah. No, that's totally fair. Yeah. That's totally fair.
And isn't that a more interesting story for the funeral?
Yes.
Your browser history?
Yeah. That should be, it's like a live Twitter experience on a screen at the funeral. It should just be browser history, fun emails, maybe my Cassidy account.
So no eulogy. We'll just have all this in a PowerPoint presentation.
Yeah, absolutely. Ginger can show the photos I sent her last week while talking about the Flesh Jack Go. It'll be great.
Perfect.
People who don't know what's going to happen will be surprised.
Yes. They will. Oh, wow. So I want to, back to the question to our Christian swing setters, I just wanted to share that my experience comes secondhand in the sense that we have made a number of friends who are Christians who do indeed go to church on Sunday morning. And other than, having to get out of bed after a party night, which, sometimes can go late into the night, it's really about them deciding their own ethos, their own, to really deal with their own cognitive or emotional dissonance and decide how your faith relates to how you choose to sexually relate to your partner and other people. And so if you're in a place where you're feeling solid in your choices, you're feeling comfortable in your choices, then church probably won't feel that uncomfortable because you've squared it away for yourselves. And you could even go, and we've had friends who've taught Sunday school and have felt really great about it because they've decided how their faith and how their sexual life relates with each other, and it works for them and good for them, because that's a great thing. And it probably took them a while to get there, but they feel great about that. And so it shouldn't feel mutually exclusive. And if it does, then that's a process for you to go through for yourselves and decide how to make it congruent and feel comfortable enough that you can uphold your faith, do what you love to do by going to church, and also choose to have the lifestyle you wish to have sexually with your partner and other people. And, that's not for me to decide. You are an expert in your life. I am not an expert in your life. And so I encourage you to not buy into the non-thinkers version where you only get to do one or the other, but really decide for yourselves how you want it to work in your life, make it work in your life, and then make that happen.
Yeah, for some people, the community and the ritual of going to church is an important part to even someone who is open sexually. It's an important part of their life. If they haven't subscribed to the sex out of marriage part of a million things that are not really well defined in the Bible, if you are happy with that and you have made peace with that and you're like, this is natural and normal and what I want to do, but you still feel that the community of church, going there and experiencing that you can still believe in a higher power, and that is where you want to express your faith, then go right ahead. But totally, as Jen said, it's about finding that place within you. If you find that you're going to church on Sunday and you're feeling uneasy, it's a discussion you sort of want to have with yourself and figure out which do you feel the need to do. Are you going to church out of obligation? Are you going to church because you still need to present a face to your family and your community in a way that is a church-going family? You have to find the balance within enjoying your lifestyle, the lifestyle, and enjoying your faith, and it's all defined by you and by no one else.
And I'm going to say a surprising thing right now. If you believe in God and believe that He has done wonderful things for your life,
oh Jesus,
and believe that swinging benefits your life,
oh good Lord,
will you give me some credit here?
Dylan, you're killing it. He's got to keep going.
Preach on, brother. Preach on.
Then wouldn't it follow that God created this opportunity for your life?
Amen.
Can I get an hallelujah?
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Go on.
Hallelujah.
I love it when Dylan sings, even if it's hymns.
That song.
No, that's
a beautiful
not a hymn.
thing.
That's not a hymn.
Well, you know what I mean.
Okay.
Right. Thank you, Cooper, for not making me play Air Raid Sirens.
Don't tempt
Please.
me.
Thank you. No, because, I threatened. And I went ahead and played the Silent Hill music a few episodes ago.
I know.
And I'll do it. I'll do it, sir.
Yeah?
I don't have a problem with that.
I'm glad.
I just wanted to tell you a little story about...
Oh, no. Oh, is this the story you promised us earlier?
This is the story he threw all of us off on before we started the podcast, because we thought he wanted to tell a story right then, and no, he didn't.
Apparently it was 45 minutes later.
It was a delay. It was on a time zone delay.
I was called on a delay of game penalty. Okay, I apologize. But I haven't gone to church in a long, long time, and I'm quite happy with that. But considering my family's very Catholic Christian roots, the closest thing I have to both a regular routine and, let's say, an event with ideals that directly contradict my swinging would be going to see a family, the entire family, after Mass. So I don't go to Mass, but I hosted a swinger party this last Friday, and it was good.
And God saw that it was good.
Oh, God saw a lot of things. My spirit was truly inside all three of those women. I tell you what. But the relevant part of this is that the very next morning, I went to see my family for a big family get-together. They went to church on a Saturday morning because, they were all in town for this. I mean, we get together regularly anyway, but everybody was in town for this, so this was a big thing. So they go to church. Even my son went because my son spent the night. And we met up with everybody after. And since we're a big Mexican family, we got a bunch of food.
Did your son point at you when you arrived and call you sinner or do that Invasion of the Body Snatchers scream?
He did not yell J'accuse either.
J'accuse.
Yeah. So that didn't happen. But what did happen is before I left to go to see the family, I had to make a decision. The night went late, and I really wanted to get the maximum amount of sleep possible. So, do I take a shower
After getting
or
the
not?
maximum amount of sex
I was
possible,
really worried
yeah.
this was where we were going.
Exactly. Like, I got the maximum amount of sex possible. So, do I
Is
want to
that
get the
where we're
maximum amount
going?
of sleep possible?
Yes.
And
You
do I
went
want to
with-
take a shower?
with sex party funk on you?
Yes, be uncomfortable.
Holy
be
shit,
very
Dylan.
Now,
uncomfortable.
hold on.
That is an affront to the Lord God.
Let me
Okay.
tell you my thought process here, because it's one thing.
Oh, boy.
So I'm sitting up in bed going, I could get an extra 15 to 20 minutes of sleep here if I don't take a shower. And yeah, okay, I've been around my family after working out, after playing sports, after doing all sorts of stuff. And it's like, I can admit, hey, I had a long night, or I did this thing, and that's why I don't smell great. Usually I smell great. It's no big deal, whatever. Maybe I can do the whole, quick wash my face, armpits thing, whatever. It's not sexy, but it is what it is. But I woke up thinking, well, it's one thing to go smelling a little bit like my wife. Whether it's her perfume or just like, people smell, whatever it is, people are going to be hugging me and stuff, and they're going to smell things on me.
Pussy
and I had to kind
everywhere. They're going to smell it everywhere.
And that's the thing.
Pussy
I had
and
to go.
lube, the intoxicating aroma.
I had to go over the list of things that I did. And it's one thing to smell a little bit like my wife. It's even another thing to smell a little bit like my wife. Okay? It's a thing.
Yeah, your inflection was perfect, Dylan. Don't worry. Everyone got what you were saying.
Well, I believe so. And the thing is, like, I will make the uncomfortable admission. Very, not terribly uncomfortable, but I will make the admission that I have smelled pussy on my family members before. Okay? Just like I've smelled alcohol on their breath before.
This story's just getting better, Dylan.
Just like I've smelled pot on my family members before. Just like I've smelled Ben Gay on my family members before. People live lives, and it is what it is. And because I have a very sensitive sense of smell, I pick that up and I just have to accept it. So, do I want to go not just smelling like pussy? Not just smelling like some of the flavored lube? Possibly. Do I want to go smelling like more than one woman? Because all of that may mix into something that I couldn't easily identify, or that they couldn't easily identify. And again, I didn't expect to get close to anybody there, but we're all in the same room. I definitely played hard, and I could try to wash up as much as I want. And he put it away wet. I did. Yes. So, well, I had to fuck my wife.
Oh, I get it, Dylan.
Yeah,
I'm with you. I'm actually just amazed you're telling this story, honestly. Go on, please.
So, do I go knowing that math? And the math was no. I got up. I picked up the random condom wrappers that were on the ground. And by the way, for the record, there were no
Stuffed
condoms.
them in your pocket. Had them with you when you saw your family.
No, that I didn't do. I'll tell you a really quick story in a moment. But I did pick up a few things. There were no condoms on the ground, no condoms hidden behind pillows. That like it was like episode 55 or something where we had the really bad swinger
The
party.
worst sex party ever.
Yeah. It was not one of those. It was a great sex party, and people pretty much took care of the area. So I was very happy about that. Picking up a common wrap, no big deal. So I did take a shower. I did attend the event, and floating all throughout the event, whenever I could get free time, is, man, those tits were great. Man, it was great watching my wife suck that cock. Oh man, that pussy did not quit. The amount of random ass sexy thoughts that were running through my mind while I was surrounded by terribly unsexy family was both disturbing but understandable. And I've made my peace with that. Just like when I would walk into church when I was 21, 22, horny as fucking hell, and would let myself and my mind wander and get random erections during church, it would just be something that I would have to deal with. It was part of the price of business.
I don't know, Dylan, you could deal with it the way I did.
Teenager. Going to beat off in the church bathroom in the middle of the sermon.
Basement. Yeah.
Basement. All right. So you wouldn't even go to the bathroom. That's freaky, Cooper. But
basement was empty. Bathrooms get used.
That's a good point.
I don't need someone walking in with their church thoughts and interrupting me.
With their church thoughts. Well, Dylan, for whatever it's worth, I'm glad that you took a shower.
I am too. I am
glad 3
that this story ended with a less surprising thing.
So there's another real brief story attached to this that I'm going to go ahead and use the time to tell. So I was again going to a family event, and I was again going after a very fun night.
Dylan actually only visits his family after he has had orgies. I mean,
in order for me to visit my family, I have to have sex.
He needs to be able to have the orgy in his head in order to get through the indignity of visiting with family.
Visiting my entire extended family really does feel like an indignity. And the thing is, again, I have a very large Latino family, and it's an intense thing. And it helps to get myself off a few times before I go. But no, it's not a thing. This other time just happened to be a time when I wore a suit coat, and I wore a full suit to a really nice event where I was meeting some swingers. And I happened to leave some supplies in that suit coat. So
he was packing, in other words.
I was packing. So I go to this event, having a good time. I take off my suit coat and go to put it on the back of my chair, and I realize, this is a little heavy. And then I remember why it's a little heavy. I'm like,
vibrators,
shit.
Like 3 of them.
Well, to be clear,
big old dildo.
I had condoms. I had the little packets of lube. I did have a little pocket vibrator. What else did I have in there? I mean, I had my keys in my wallet and stuff in there too, but I was uncomfortable because should something happen to that suit coat, things would come flying out, and stuff would happen. So go through most of the event, have lunch, have dinner. I actually briefly considered
You didn't go back to your car?
Well, I don't know. I was
put it in the glove compartment. What's wrong with you?
I obviously didn't.
Or did you enjoy the thrill?
No,
that you might get caught.
No, I was not enjoying that possibility. I tell you what, it was not exciting. But I believe. Oh yeah. Okay, so what I did was I took the suit coat off the back of the chair. I folded it up very carefully, and I put it like along the side. I put it on like one of the benches, and left it there, knowing that nobody was gonna fucking move a suit coat in the place that it was. So the end of the night comes. I forget all about it, and my mom is over by the bench, and I'm getting out the door. I have food in my hands because we all make a fuck ton of food, and I say, "Hey, Mom, would you mind passing me my suit coat and putting it on top of the food that I have?" So she picks it up and brings it on over, and my keys fall out of the pocket, and she says, "Oh, honey, you forgot your keys," and I said, "Oh, fuck." She bends over to pick up the keys and is successful. She walks over. My phone falls out of the pocket. And she doesn't say anything.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
She just looks at me a little weird, bends over, takes up the phone, gets up. We're still okay. We're good. I'm starting to sweat here. She makes it over to me. She puts the suit coat on top of the food, and it's still okay. It's starting to unravel a little bit. But we're like, okay, Mom, I'll see you later. Goodbye. And so I put my hand on top of the food and the suit coat. I'm good. But I get approached by some more family, and they want to like give me a hug, shake my hand. So I'm getting a hug left and right, and I'm like, all right, guys, cool. I put my arm around them, get back on the suit coat. It all kind of works out. And then I start walking out the door, turn around, and a single solitary condom falls out, hits the ground, and nobody sees it except for my mom.
Does it do that thing where it hits like...
It felt like it. No.
You saw it in slow motion. You went, no.
Well, I feel like I saw the reflection of it in my mom's eyes because she was still looking at me when it floated down. And I could tell.
Your mom said, oh, Dylan.
Yeah, I would have missed it if it hadn't been for my mom's eyes. Because I followed her eyes down and I looked at it and I knew that I could not get down there to pick it up because of all the stuff I had in my hands.
Well, your mom has picked up everything else for you so far.
She has. However, I very quickly stepped in front of it, pivoted, and gave it a very, very light swift, and it floated out the door exactly the way I wanted it to. I kept walking like nothing happened, but she knew. And hasn't said anything about it to this day.
She knew you had a condom.
I know.
How old were you? Were you in a long-term relationship? What was the problem here?
Oh, I was married with children.
Oh, so. Well then, good for you not having children willy-nilly.
I know, but...
Now, if your vibrator had fallen out of your suit coat pocket...
Well, you can understand why I was so nervous about this.
I can.
Just think if I had the 11 in there.
Well... Hey, I've had the 11 in my pocket, and it always pretty much pulls my pants down.
But just think of
it's
what would have
like
happened.
a vaudeville routine, really. Especially if I have both of them in my pocket. So we got some listener reviews.
Hey!
And I'm going to read one, and then someone else is going to read one. I'm going to read one because it calls me out.
Okay, so we're skipping the last one.
We're not just reading good reviews here. So you can say whatever you want. The title is somewhat interesting, often a ramblecast. My husband and I used to listen frequently, but recently stopped because the frequent long rambles and conversational rabbit trails made it a boring listen with only a few points of interest. While the panel format has some positives, too often every host rang in on every topic, dragging out discussions unnecessarily. Coop makes a reasonable ringleader, but he comes off as an elitist with an interruption problem.
Oh, you got us, listeners.
We would love to listen again once the podcast has more focus and flow to keep things moving. I want to just address the last sentence. I am sorry you won't get to listen to the Swingset again because I would be shocked, honestly, like actually shocked.
As always, questions are edited for time and cohesion.
If it ever has.
Unlike the podcast.
More focus and flow to keep things moving. But yeah, they got us. Like every single point.
What I find kind of funny about this is it kind of implies that we had more focus and flow.
Yes, I know.
At some point, and I'm like, what shows were you listening to?
Honestly, we have never been more focused in general as we have been for the last 100 episodes or so.
Oh, yeah. Are you kidding me? Before we sort of enlisted the help of Trello to keep our thoughts together, we used to start with the idea for a sentence, And that was it.
Yeah.
The rest of the episode would be segue and tangent and story and interruption and story.
Remember
and
when we used to
jokes.
start the show with business and it never ended?
Yeah.
It never ended.
And
Exactly.
the show was just business, and we're like, hey,
Yeah.
well, we're 40 minutes in, so I guess we're not doing a topic tonight.
Exactly. Well, let's push that to next week.
So I guess I put it to you, listeners. One listener has spoken, and we don't begrudge them that.
Well, two. It sounds like two have spoken.
Oh, yes, it says
If
we,
the
my
one is-
husband and I. Yes, okay.
No, wait,
Right,
what are their
right,
names, Cooper? Because I'm always interested in calling out people that take time to write for positive reasons. I'm not shaming them for writing this. They've written a wonderful review. It is truth to our power. So yeah, what's the name on this review?
The name is Jocelyn LT from Canada.
Ooh, all right. Must be a
we're
Stephen Harper
actually-
supporter.
The Canadians taking
Yeah.
us to
We're
task.
pretty popular in Canada, so that's surprising.
And those Canadians are usually pretty polite. Although I'll admit the review seems pretty
And
polite.
it doesn't.
I would love
Not,
to. I
not
would.
once do they mention Tim Hortons.
Oh,
I would love to hear what we're missing.
Well,
so
clearly, what we're
I
missing is a
appreciate.
leader who's not an elitist, not weighing in on every topic, not talking about anything of interest to us, really, which is the important part. And, I don't know, not being boring? Focus
Okay.
and flow. What they're hoping for is Adderall. So we should do a whole episode where each of us pops an Adderall before we start. And
Wait,
Oh my
wait,
God.
We've done that. It was the Nina episode.
That's how I live my entire
yeah,
life.
we should recommend the Nina episode to them because honestly, that packs like 55 episodes worth of content into 1 hour.
Yeah.
And we didn't even have to say anything. So maybe they'll like it more because
So-
we as hosts didn't talk much.
Listeners, please visit lifeontheswingset.com and look for SS210. Nina
210.
Hartley talks about all the things because episode 210
Is amazing.
exactly what you're looking for.
Yes.
Yeah, and enjoy.
Now, I will say, listeners who would agree with this or disagree or have their own grumbles with us, please go to iTunes and review us there because this is where we learn.
Yeah, like if we got to change the format, we'll do it.
yeah. I also
Maybe.
want to know how we make sure that every one of us doesn't ring in on every topic.
The way we do that is when Dylan starts talking, I just say, shut the fuck up, Dylan.
This is the tricky part, though. I mean, if you
But I
really
can't
look at things,
I can't
then
interrupt.
You just interrupted Jin. Shut up.
No,
but then we get people who are like,
I missed when you guys were fun.
I really miss Dylan talking about his perspective on that particular
Spending
issue.
10
So
minutes talking about going to his parents' house with sex funk.
that was a really great story. I was really on edge.
Miko did some taxes while that story was being told.
Well, you be careful, Miko, because if you're not careful, I'll just start telling you about the actual sexual experience I got at the party, and if I get lucky, maybe I'll turn on a motherfucker or two. We'll see.
Well, and you know what I have to say about this is it's been a long damn time since we've done business.
It has.
I mean, we do bits and pieces, but we used to do a fair bit of business and we don't do it. And we haven't done it for episodes and episodes and episodes. I miss it. Maybe these listeners don't necessarily miss it, and that's okay. We appreciate that. But I miss it because I think it's good fun. So...
Well, what I'm taking away from this is somewhat interesting and sort of reasonable.
Sort of reasonable. Okay. Listen, seriously, thank you, because you obviously have listened to us, and that was a very thoughtful review. Mm-hmm. And I will take this under advisement.
No.
Try.
See,
No.
Hold on,
I will
Dylan.
try. I
we
personally,
changed
not us.
the entire format of the show because one review complained. We moved business to the end and haven't done it since, pretty much, because one fucking review got us all sad and weird. So instead of that, Dylan, I'm going to ask you to read the next review.
Okay.
Can I say one thing about this one last thing about this review?
Sure.
I
Please.
love that we answered this review in the same way that they criticized all of our shows.
Isn't
It was so much
consistency better
interesting.
than anything
We
else?
rambled and went off on rabbit trails.
Yeah.
We interrupted each other, and every host rang in on every topic.
Absolutely.
So you're welcome for us proving your point.
We wouldn't have it any
Did
other
we come
way.
off as elitist at all during the answer of this review? Because then we would have hit every topic.
Oh,
I am
was-
better than them.
No, actually, I wasn't an elitist tonight, but yeah, I am now.
Okay.
Right
I
now,
want to
I'm
make sure
judging.
we fully
Yeah,
answer
there we
this
go.
review in the tradition of Life on the Swing Set.
So, Cooper, who's the next review from?
You stop asking me that. I don't have that prepared, obviously.
Oh, all right. Well,
How about you just read the review?
plain and simple, there is only one reason to listen to Life on the Swing Set. It is the authority on the lifestyle, open marriage, and sex-positive culture. If everyone thought this way, we would be a much happier culture.
That's awesome.
Because we're reasonable and somewhat interesting.
It's somewhat interesting.
I take compliments very hard.
You take compliments very hard?
I do.
What does that mean?
I appreciate this, but I don't feel like the authority on the lifestyle, open marriage, and sex-positive culture. I feel...
So you're telling people to listen to another show? Is that how you're going to end this episode, Dylan?
I am the authority on the lifestyle,
There we
open
go.
marriage, and sex-positive culture. Thank you for noticing, listeners. I really do appreciate it.
If you find us all of those things, there's always Dan Savage. Because he is all of those things and more, except he doesn't ramble as much.
Well, what I will say to that review is thank you for
Yes,
reviewing
thank you
us.
very
much.
We
Yes.
appreciate
Yeah.
that. And I will also say that it's wonderful to be perceived that way. Yet at the same time, I know that all of us sitting around this virtual table are here to share stories. We're here to give you our perspectives. We're here to have you learn from our experiences. And that's what we have to offer. Maybe some cheesy jokes and maybe some,
Maybe.
love, bad puns and love between us, swapping stories and enjoying each other. But that's great that you're taking what you can and applying it to your life. And hopefully we're helping you head off some mistakes. Hopefully we're giving you some confidence to step into the room and have a great time at a party. And hopefully we're making you laugh because that's why we do what we do. And we're grateful that you're listening.
And if we're not, there's a whole host of other podcasts on the Swingset.fm network that may fit your vibe. Or there's Dan Savage. And Tristan Taormino. Because these are the people. If we're the authority,
Wait.
it's because we are standing on the shoulders of the greats.
Say her name again.
Tristan Taormino?
No, you know how I want you to say it.
Tristan Taormino!
There you go, Cooper.
That's how she wants me to say it. That sounded more sexual than I intended
It
it.
totally did.
I just mean that she got very excited
That's how
the first
she
time I
wants
said
me
that.
to say it.
Which also, again, sounds more sexual than I intended it. Maybe it's because I have a huge crush on Tristan Taormino. I don't know.
Cooper attempted to disinnuendo, and he just innuendoed harder.
Extra innuendo.
Oh boy.
Okay, so last week we did an Audible giveaway. I gave away 5 copies of my audiobook on audible.com. I have 5 more copies. The first 5 listeners to email audible@lifeontheswingset.com with the words, Dylan, what should they say?
Book me.
Book me. Okay. And something creative about Dylan's story. Advice for Dylan about how he could have gotten away with bringing his entire Safer Sex kit to his parents' get-together. And you'll get a free copy of my book on Audible. And anyone else can go, if you missed the first 5, you can go to audible.mylotss.com to buy the book. You can get it as the free trial book through Audible or add it to your wish list. I really appreciate it. And I won't interrupt when you're listening to the book because it's just me, although I interrupt myself all the time in the book.
I interrupt you a couple times.
And Dylan interrupts me a whole bunch of times. It's craziness. It's craziness.
Fuck you, Coop.
Yeah, you know, the best part about recording that audiobook was the fact that Dylan was recording the interrupting voice, and 3 times in the book it opens with "fuck you, Coop," and I couldn't get him to have the needed intensity. It's like "fuck you, Coop." You know, it's like, no, you're angry. Be angry, and so yeah, it was kind of sweet that he couldn't get there. Anyway, you can listen to the book on Audible. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/The Swingset. Review us on iTunes, pretty please, with sugar on top, and we might read it on the podcast and maybe make fun of you, or maybe not. Or we'll thank you, or, you know, we'll all get really sad.
Or we'll change the format of the show again.
Yeah, because one guy did it. So it could be you.
Hey, that one guy had a seriously good idea that we all just eventually happened to agree with. I think I pushed for it and it worked. So, you know, whatever. Good ideas are good ideas.
And especially good ideas that Dylan takes credit for.
Exactly.
Follow us on Twitter at Cooper S. Beckett, at Ginger and the Prof, at Technogeisha, and at Dylan the Thomas. Check out this podcast, daily blogs, articles, and toy reviews on our website at lifeontheswingset.com and on our site's Twitter feed at OnTheSwingSet. Email us your questions for future Gangbang the Mailbags. The next one is number 25. We should do that show live. Ooh. Email us at contact@lifeontheswingset.com, or please leave us a voicemail. I'd love to do an all voicemail Gangbang the Mailbag.
We've done one.
25. We've done 2.
Wait, 2? Oh, wow.
I'd love to do another one. 573-55-SWING. That's 573-557-9464. When you're buying your condoms this weekend for your big party, or just to keep in your pocket when you visit your parents, why not buy them at swingsetcondoms.com? It supports us on this podcast and gets you the awesome condoms from the amazing Lucky Bloke. You can support us also by buying a shirt or leaving us a tip at lifeontheswingset.com/support. You can find our other great podcasts like the Gentle Pervert Social Club, the Kinky Geeks, Eat the Rudecast, a damn good podcast about Twin Peaks, Sex at a Go-Go, the Tell Me Something Good podcast, and the upcoming Ash podcast, Ashcast, about Ash versus the Evil Dead. Oh, yes.
So much awesome.
Oh, it's not about Ashley Manta?
It's the Ashley Manta / Ashley Madison / Ashley Williams, which is the star of The Evil Dead. It's going to be interesting. You can find all those at swingset.fm or on our free Android app. And if you haven't downloaded our free Android app yet, why not? It's free.
Come on.
Come on.
Do it.
And finally, you can buy my book, My Life on the Swing Set, Adventures in Swinging and Polyamory, as an ebook, paperback, or audiobook direct from me at mylifeontheswingset.com. Thanks for swinging by.
Have a sexy business? Love the swing set? Let's put these 2 great things together. The Swingset Network has advertising and sponsorship packages available for our websites and podcasts. Email advertising at lifeontheswingset.com for more information. Thanks.
That might be the first time in a long time you haven't said, "Hey, Coop," just before I said thanks for swinging by.
I noticed you paused.
Because
You were like,
I don't like to get interrupted on the thanks for
I
swinging by.
was feeling a growing sense of tension. The further you got in the outro, I was waiting for it.
Is it going to happen? Is it going to be a perfect game?
you pick up speed like a horse running back to the
Because
barn,
I get
really.
sick of it, honestly. I get so sick of that fucking thing.
You know who else is sick of it? These people who reviewed us on iTunes.
This outro is somewhat interesting, but also long and rambling.
It's reasonable, but I don't like it.
Right.
This is Kendra Holliday of TheBeautifulKind.com, and you're listening to a Swingset podcast at swingset.fm.